When it comes down to Vigilantes, it's definitely a little bit different than something like My Hero Academia, the original main story. Because Vigilantes is kind of a different focus. With My Hero Academia, obviously, it's the main story of Izuku Midoriya becoming, like, this great hero that is higher than All Might. You have, like, Bakugo, with him being the rival to Izuku, Shoto and his Todoroki storyline with how the Todoroki family's a mess. You have, like, other characters. It's a big cast with mainly focused on, like, the school stuff at first before it goes beyond that. But with My Hero Academia Vigilantes, it's definitely a little more different. You do have a focus with Koichi, the main character, the crawler, and you have Pop Step, you have Knuckle Duster, who are the main, like, trio. You have other characters per se, but it's always focused on the main trio because their story are aligned. Obviously, Pop Step, it has, like, one of the weaker stories, one would say, but it definitely is still important because she is still a big supportive role to Koichi, and there's some interesting stuff with those two. But not to get ahead of myself, I want to focus on a few aspects of this, since obviously the final arc is here and it's not going to be a very long one. So I thought, why not let's revisit back to My Hero Academia Vigilantes, like a proper review of it, because although I'm late, I did say I was going to do it, and well, I am now. So as the review, we shall begin. For the world building, I definitely feel like this one is able to expand more than something like My Hero Academia Season 1, where, yeah, it told us about, like, the hero stuff, the hero licensing, how the popularity system works, essentially, but it's focused mainly on the school life of things. And obviously later on we get more of the world building. Here, it's straight up a little more into the vigilante side, the more darker side, the one that most of society doesn't really pay attention to, you know, because vigilantes and stuff. But it also dives into other things of the origins of the hero licensing, how there were so many vigilantes, essentially bringing back that the USA is responsible for all of that whenever, like, quirks were first discovered and stuff. And now it was a lot of vigilante groups that eventually the government did the hero licensing to keep things in check. So that way it's not just a bunch of vigilantes doing whatever the hell they want. Which, I mean, considering all the shit that happens, makes sense. But it also puts vigilantes, our main cast, in a bit of a pickle, because anyone who's doing hero work without a license is liable for, well, trouble. So there's also that aspect. But it definitely has a lot more into the heroism works, especially the other side of things, because we've seen in the main story how the hero side is so focused on saving people, having to have a good reputation and stuff, because that was also a big factor on how people will trust a hero. But the agencies have other side of works. They're basically the PR people. They're basically the ones that have to organize things, as we see this with Makoto, which is one of the love interests of Koichi, but she is also one of the more, what would you say, the assistant to Captain Celebrity, which, I mean, within the name it even says it, like, their heroes are more celebrity stuff, and you need people like Makoto to keep them in check, make sure they don't get themselves into unnecessary trouble, because that obviously hurts. If the people can't trust you to save them, then it makes the hero's job even harder. But I do still, like I said, I like the world building. Like, it's because it's a smaller cast, the world building's able to expand even more compared to My Hero, where you have a lot of characters that you have to kind of go over. That expands the world still, but with the smaller cast, it's just a little bit more easy to kind of expand it to crazy lengths. When it comes down to the characters, I definitely have to say Koichi is the heart of My Hero Academia Vigilantes. Like, he is so relatable, because keep this in mind, viewer. My Hero Academia came out while a lot of us were in high school, so we definitely were relating to Deku. And with how big of a jump the season 1 of My Hero Academia, when that came out, is to My Hero Academia Vigilantes, where we have Koichi, someone who is trying to balance work and school, which would basically mean college or university. I forgot which of the two he was in. Genuinely puts into perspective just how kind of crazy it is. Because Koichi is not pursuing the hero dream. Like, he gave it up because he went to save someone, which we'll get to, and that cost him his chance to do the hero course exam. And yeah, he basically gave up on his dream to being a hero, despite the fact that he wants to help others. That is something that is still a core thing of him, because that's why he's the Mr. Nice Guy that everyone knows. He's not fighting villains per se, because he didn't train for that. His quirk is not necessarily helpful for that. It's more of just slide and glide, and even then it's slow and stuff. So clearly has its limitations and things. He gets pushed around, but he cleans up, he helps others, gives directions. Like, he's a genuinely helpful guy. He's not doing anything that would constitute as a vigilante, but one could say that he's definitely doing something to help the community. And then obviously the fateful day whenever Pop steps in danger, because the two know each other. And once that happens and he goes to try to help, it obviously fails. And right before things actually get too crazy, Knuckle Duster comes in. The literal fist of the group, the brawler of the group, the one that essentially can fight. If Koichi is the heart of the group, Knuckle Duster's the one that can actually make sure that they don't just get wiped out. Because dude is a menace. Like, throughout the season, he genuinely just beats the shit out of everyone he faces. Especially the villain, which, that's its own section, we'll get to that. But Knuckle Duster is a mentor to Koichi. He's definitely pushing him, maybe not towards the hero per se, but to genuinely be able to save people, to go all out to try to help others. While at the same time, he's trying to solve a different kind of problem of the drug usage. The trigger, which is basically just making anyone who has a quirk go nuts. And then there is Popstep, who, although she doesn't have like a big core reason per se of just being like Koichi trying to be a hero, Knuckle Duster trying to solve all of the trigger stuff, Popstep is more obviously supporting mainly Koichi, because Koichi did save her back when she was like a kid and he was in middle school. And she's kind of the reason he couldn't get to the exam in time and obviously lost his dream, so there is some guilt. But her dream is, rather than being a street performer, she wants to be like an actual legit performer. She wants to show what she's capable of, and it's admirable because it's a different aspect of things. It's outside of just being a hero, beating up the bad guys. It's a more interesting look into other people's lives in that world, because there's still other jobs, other aspirations, other things that people want. So having those three have like separate things yet connected together for different reasons. Because Koichi and Knuckle Duster are master and student. Popstep has feelings for Koichi, so that keeps her entangled with it, as well as she's good with social media, so she can help at least track things down. And then there's like Makoto, which is another assistant for Koichi and someone that eventually integrates into the group as we reach towards like the end of the season, with Knuckle Duster leaving because he had accomplished one of his main goals, since it was related to his daughter, which we'll get to. And then there's Captain Celebrity, who also seems to be integrating into the group as well, and a new possible mentor figure for Koichi. And Indenium, getting Ida's brother, is also an interesting thing, because we don't see a lot of him, and seeing Indenium, like, Ida's brother essentially shows that he's a more mature, level-headed Ida, essentially. But like I said, with the smaller cast, there's a lot of things you can do, and obviously there's like the big moments for each character. Popstep has her big performance that allows her to basically show that she is a legit performer, someone that can rise to celebrity that isn't related to hero work. Then there's Koichi, who is able to unlock an ability that he used to have as a baby before his mother kept like knocking him back down to earth, so he had like a mental blockage. And that was thanks to Makoto being in danger and him pushing beyond his limits. And then Knuckle Duster being able to finally save his daughter and stop the actual villain that basically took his daughter's body as its own. But yeah, I really gotta say, characters is 10 out of 10. Like, legit, they each have their own things and yet they're all connected. And it's so fun interactions and so many hilarious moments, but a lot of fun moments to see. And just rooting for them is just amazing, really.
Queen Hachisuka, I think that's how you'll pronounce it, or as one would say, Queen Bee. She is the main antagonist of the season, and obviously she's not the main antagonist of the series, because, I mean, she's defeated by the end of of this season. But the thing about her is that she's clearly a pawn. She is the what you call secondary minor antagonist that just happens to be like the main factor for Knuckle Duster, since obviously Queen Bee is possessing the body of Uguro, Tamao. So that is a problem. So that is the big driving force for Knuckle Duster. And look, the abilities that Queen Bee can pull out, having a shit ton of bees, able to jump body to body, and having a clear, distinctive look, at the very least with like short hair and having an eye patch kind of thing. So that way it's like, it tells us who is whenever Queen Bee is possessing someone. And having her have the ability outside of possession to use her bees in order to be able to use other abilities is kind of insane, as well as the fact that her personality is twisted. Like, she acts pretty friendly here and there, but she will turn on a dime. And I mean, it is quite a fun protagonist. Like, she is the part-time villain, quote unquote, but I mean, she is a main villain. She's just really good at hiding in plain sight, unless you're Knuckle Duster that knows what the hell's going on. Now, there is a story that obviously Knuckle Duster and his daughter had like a big fight, which led her to kind of storm out, and that's kind of the timing of when Queen Bee got her. And obviously that caused this whole mess. But if there's anything I have to say is that I think she is pretty satisfying as a villain. Like, obviously we have another villain that is going to take center stage for next season, as teased at the last 2 episodes after Queen Bee's defeat, and also like the next episode, like the very last one of the season. Like, it's clear that the Knuckle Duster's whole journey in stopping the distribution of Trigger is not done yet. It just so happens that the first objective of his, being of saving his daughter, had taken priority. Not to mention that, I mean, it's obvious that Queen is following the orders of All For One. Like, let's be real, it's fucking All For One. But, as I say, Queen and her current villain arc of the season, I gotta say, she's pretty good. Like, she genuinely, whenever she fought Knuckle Duster, that was fun. Like, you can tell that she had Knuckle Duster, like, almost done for, but the dude is genuinely hard to put down. So, that is just unfortunate for Queen. But other than that, I mean, 10 out of 10 antagonist. Like, just pretty much fun. Because this is more Knuckle Duster's antagonist than Koichi's antagonist. Since I have a feeling that this next villain is going to be more for Koichi than it is for Knuckle Duster. But, hey. As for the main story of My Hero Academia Vigilantes, I have to say, it's honestly not too crazy. It's clearly that Koichi's journey of becoming a hero, Knuckle Duster's journey of trying to stop Trigger, as well as trying to save his daughter that's possessed, Popstep, who is helping those two along the way, but also is trying to achieve her own dream of being a performer, someone like actually worth something that isn't related to hero work. Each of them are trying to do something for themselves, but as well as helping the others, with the main ones being Koichi getting help from Knuckle Duster to be a hero. Though a conversation between a thug turned ally and Knuckle Duster also reveals that originally he was using Koichi as a more tool, a pawn, in order to achieve its 2 goals. As the season progresses, you can tell that he genuinely starts to create an actual bond with Koichi and actually starts viewing him as someone who can be a hero, especially when he has his big hero moment of saving Makoto. Like, he is trying to get to Ingenium, however he is unable to, and this is when he awakens his like hidden potential, a bit of it at least, because Koichi's quirk kind of functions a bit differently than it should, because it's just gliding. However, him being able to fly the way he did when he saved Makoto kind of shows that there's more to his quirk than meets the eye. Which, I mean, I believe Knuckle Duster saw. Now the only hiccup is that Koichi isn't an actual physical fighter, and having Knuckle Duster constantly there to essentially be backup all the time, it's not going to help Koichi be able to grow. He'll just be a support, if anything, which isn't bad per se, but if he wants to be a hero, like a legit hero, he needs to be able to handle situations on his own. And obviously, whenever Knuckle Duster does leave and entrusts Koichi on handling things, it is also kind of clear that Koichi is having a hard time, and that his new saving grace is going to be Captain Celebrity. And then you do have like the side stuff with like the thugs who are helping Knuckle Duster in search of his daughter, which, I mean, it's kind of a fun turn. The two middle schoolers that are essentially allies to Knuckle Duster, Koichi, and Popstep, mainly Popstep and Koichi. Ingenium, who is offering obvious advice to Koichi, and I do like that he gave Koichi like a chance to be like, you should join my hero services, but after learning he's a vigilante, like, hey, can I get that card back? Anyway, outside of that, and then obviously Captain Celebrity handling his things, Makoto becoming his assistant, and one that's strict enough to keep him in check, because, I mean, it's literally funny. In the Japanese version, you do have Makoto actually speaking English to Celebrity's wife, or ex-wife. However that situation's going for him, and essentially keeping him in check. But the story is definitely setting goals on where exactly the characters need to go. We need Popstep to become like a big celebrity, Koichi to eventually become a hero. Because, yes, Vigilante is something he is doing right now, but let's be real, he wants to genuinely be a hero, and that dream kind of got reignited throughout this entire season. And then there is Knuckle Duster with his investigation and trying to stop the whole trigger stuff. And yeah, essentially this is the beginning part of the story. Like, there's still a lot of story to go to. Not to mention, considering Aizawa is constantly appearing here and there, it's clear he's going to have some involvement in the story later on. But yeah, so far for story, it's pretty strong. Like, it's a good, strong start, because it shows us, it eases in, it gets us a lot more character focus, but as things kind of start to progress with the first objective of Knuckle Duster being completed and him kind of leaving the story to handle other things, it forces Koichi to have to grow on his own. Now, obviously he has Captain Celebrity, but I doubt that's going to stay forever, because I believe this is going to be a second-ish mentor of Koichi, and that's kind of how he's going to start growing to become a hero. The Vigilante path was to push him to want to help others for now without the hero license stuff. And with Captain Celebrity, it's probably where he's going to learn more of being a hero. But overall, I gotta give it a solid 9 out of 10 for story.
I did wanted to go over the opening and the ending. Like, the opening is fire. It is just one of the most catchiest songs. The visuals are just comic book amazingness. Like, literally, there's a section that is comic book-ish. But even the animation for, like, the whole season, I gotta say, it's got this comic book vibe that I really, really like. But yeah, the opening has one of the most catchiest songs, one of the most memorable ones. And for the ending, it is in a similar way of memorable, but it is different. While the opening is more like high tone, high fun, the ending is more calmer, more, what would you say, down to earth. More just, here are all the characters, it's peaceful, they're all like, seem to be enjoying themselves. It is a very enjoyable ending. It is not like one of those sad ones, but it is definitely one of those that is like, oh, this is super peaceful, I can go with this. So it's something to make note of. So I gotta say, like, I really enjoyed both opening and ending, and they're replayable. I gotta give it that.
And to end things, I gotta say, for My Hero Academia Vigilantes, I really do enjoy it. I genuinely think that it is a bit, it's still My Hero Academia, but it's unique to itself. It has its own unique story, its own unique characters. The intro is honestly fire as hell. It has a comic book style, which is the interesting thing. And honestly, I mean, I'm excited for season 2 because, oh my gosh, there's so much story potential here. It may be a prequel, but god damn it is a good damn prequel. Anyway, this is Green Origin. I'm on sending out. Peace.